who are out there in the world, let me know if you are watching, because I'm not overly convinced that this is going to work, because I'm trying something new. Let's have a look. Can you see me? Oh, well, shiver me timbers, I think it is working. I know I haven't given anyone any notice about this, so I'm just going to play around with some bits and pieces. And I'm going to do this for you. Let's see if this shows up. I don't know how it will show up, but let's see if it does. You can see a little ticker tape thing across the bottom. Hello from Tom Dyer. Can you give me like a thumbs up or something? Hello. I think there's one person watching. So I'm a little bit hesitant to get going today because I'm using a website called Be Live to see. Oh, hello. Right. We have something. Although I can't. Can I interact with you? I can't interact with you. Not there anyway. Hello. The thumbs up. So you can see the little ticker tape thing. That's hilarious. Right. You're all awesome. Let's see what this does. Update. Crawler. Cool. Right. So that's not playing anymore. Why is that not playing anymore? I'd rather you played. Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday, the 31st of March. We're nearly into a new month. Lots of people hoping and praying that we're currently in the midst of a massive, epic April Fool's joke. Alas, I don't think that we are, and I apologize for that. April Fool's Day tomorrow. Remember that whoever you may or may not prank in the morning, you are literally stuck with them in the house. So be kind, be gentle, make sure it's fun and not just offensive and problematic for the people that you're stuck indoors with. I have been asked to look at a little bit about accountability. I'm going to see, I know that there's some bits and pieces going on downstairs, but you'll notice that Abigail's not with me today. However, I'm going to test out this new piece of software to see whether she's able to come in. Hello. I can't, in fact, I wouldn't have usually anyway, but this is really cool. So I'm currently using an internet website called BeLive.tv, I think. Hello. So you should be seeing a little message across the bottom. I don't know which way it's going, that way, I think, which says you're awesome because you are. I believe that everybody's extraordinary, regardless of their circumstance and their background. It's something that I'm really quite proud to shout about other people. But accountability, what does it kind of mean? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to me? Because it's the kind of thing which holds us to account, I suppose, is the main thing. It's the thing which kind of underpins, well, not underpins, our values underpin who we are, and then the actions that we take should be echoes of the of the values that we have. So our actions and our values, they're very tightly linked. And sometimes we stray away from our values, and sometimes we're right on track. And sometimes other people don't take actions that reflect your own values, and that can cause a bit of a clash. And it's kind of like, what do you do about that? I have done, I can't remember, it's on the recaps, which I posted a recap coming later on this evening because I haven't had time to do it this morning because I don't commute anywhere anymore. And the one that I did last week was how to get on with people that you don't get on with. And this is kind of linked to that as well, in the sense that some people might carry out actions. I'm going to turn off this crawler because I sense it might be a little bit distracting. And so the actions of other people and how they impact us. So we know who we are. And if we don't know who we are, we can talk to people and we can take online tests and we can find out the kind of person that we are. And we can find out who our what our values are, and then we can take committed action towards our values. Now, what can often happen with the people that we mix is that they might have the same values, but it's not at the same hierarchy as your values. So some people value kind of their friends more than their career and family and love and relationships and all of these careers and travel and all these different values and things. So all of a sudden we're living our lives, we're having a lovely time, and someone does something, it's like, oh, that feels, that can feel a bit icky. And we don't necessarily like that, particularly if it really contravenes our values. And one way that we can test out what our values are is someone that you see in the paper, someone that you really like and respect. Who is that person? Why do you like and respect that person? What actions have they taken that you really like? And then conversely, who is there that you don't like, and why is it that you don't like about them? Now, there's lots of different angles that we can look at accountability, but the main thing from our point of view as an individual is, what am I going to do to ensure that I am living by my values and that I can hold my head up high and say, I am proud of who I am and the actions that I'm taking. I am proud of that. And your accountability, even if it's called into question, doesn't really even matter, because your own accountability is the thing which makes you want your own accountability is a measure that you measure for yourself. Now, what can often happen though, if you take those kind of actions, is you're going to be judged. And if you're going to be judged, what you need to then have is the resolve to say, actually, I don't mind the judgment, which a lot of people take to heart, and they can't separate the action away from the judgment. And the accountability is, I've taken an action that's in line with my values. Am I proud of the action I've taken? Am I pleased with the response that the action has had? And if I'm not taking an action that's in line with my values or what's expected of me, then what can I do to repair that? And what can often happen is that by that point, the damage is already kind of done. So that's personal. Hello. So that's kind of personal accountability, which is quite a difficult thing. Sorry, bye. I'm being watched by Tallulah for this one. And so with
Tea's ready.
I know. Tea's ready. But I'm with you guys. So I'm being accountable to you right now. So as much as I know that there's food being done down here, I know that I've got quite a busy evening. A lot of these people saying that there's a lot of free time for a lot of people. For me, I've actually filled up my time, and today's been a really full day. Tomorrow's going to be a really full day. I've got a meeting, a line run of a play this evening. But I'm holding myself accountable to ensure that I am present for you, for this community that's being built up, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you for spending your 20-30 minutes with me, or however long this lasts for. And I was sat downstairs whilst the food was being cooked, and I was like, well, if I don't do this now, I don't know if I'll have an opportunity later, and is that going to lose its value? Are there going to be people that do tune in fairly regularly? Are they going to miss out on this? So I'm holding myself accountable to my own standards. And that's another key part of this, is that my standard is that I've made a commitment to be present here weekdays, sometime in the early evening. I am toying with the idea of making it lunchtime, if that would be better for some of you. So if you are watching this, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching this later on, if you would rather this at lunchtime, can you put it in the comments? Can you actually type that down and say, oh, I prefer 12 or 1 p.m. or no, 5:30 to 6 is fine by me. Let me know and I'll see whether I can do that, whether it's every day or every other day, and see if I can fit it in. But that's accountability to my standards. That's what I want to achieve. I set myself very high standards, to the point that I sometimes frustrate myself when I can't do it. But it also makes me keep driving forward. So I've joined a bit of a business group. I say it is a business group. I mentioned it in my podcast. It's with Jojo Graham. And she's just finished reading The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. And because I know that I've got busy full days ahead of me, I have joined that club. And my alarm goes off really early in the morning, 4:45, 5 o'clock, and I'm up and I'm out of bed and I'm plugging away at something which I'm bringing to you. I might mention it tomorrow because it's the beginning of the month. Why not? And if not tomorrow, it'll be hopefully by the end of the week where I'll actually mention it for the first time, good and proper. And that's scary, but it's something that I'm really pleased that I can hopefully offer. And if some people are interested in in spending kind of more time with me one-on-one about these principles that I talk about, then keep your eyes peeled this week. And if I don't mention it because I get too scared, hold me accountable and actually get in touch with me and said, you were going to release something that's going to change my life, and tell me that you said that you said that you were going to do this. So make me do it. I would really appreciate that. In fact, there is such a term as an accountability buddy. And I know that in organizations, quite well, relatively extreme example, but I know that in like Alcoholics Anonymous and things like that, people do things in twos, and it's to hold people accountable to the commitments that they've made. And those commitments that we've made, if we make our own commitments, then we're more likely to be more accountable to ourselves and more able to keep ourselves at these high standards, or standards that we're going through. And that's where some of the people in the last week have had a real difficult time of this severe change that happened really quickly. The newspaper over the weekend, it was 2 weeks ago, Wales v Scotland is on. And then the newspaper the other day was the Millennium State, the Principality Stadium being turned into a field hospital for the NHS. And like, that was 2 weeks. It was such a quick change, it just happened. And people who do have these high standards are thinking, well, I still need to live by these high standards. But as we discussed at the end of last week, there's that anticipatory grief feeling that we're going through. So we can't hold ourselves to these high standards. So the accountability is gone, and now we feel a bit lost because we're not living by our own standards, and we're feeling that we're judging ourselves on behalf of everyone else, even though everyone is still feeling the similar kind of thing. But we're so in our own head when it comes to these bits and pieces that it's hard to get out of that. But if you do hold yourself to high standards and you are feeling accountable and that you're judging yourself, you're giving yourself a hard time. So be careful of that. Now, what can happen then if we're dealing with other people? So we've set our standards, we know what we want from life, and we know what we want from people around us. And what do we do when people aren't living in a similar way to how we're acting? So this can happen at home, so with family members, this can happen in work, with work colleagues. And if we're really grinding and we're trying really hard for, in my case, for my clients, and I'm trying really passionately to get my volunteers to upscale and to get them doing as much as they can here, there, and everywhere, and you've got your colleague and you say, oh, do you mind just doing this for me? And they turn around and be like, yeah, I suppose I'll do it next week. It's like, oh, but I mentioned this the other week. And it was like, yeah, but things are coming. And they don't take the time to kind of talk to you about it, and they don't kind of explain rationale, and they don't provide a solution, and they don't provide a time frame. These are all things that are very important to me in the workplace. So if people aren't doing that, then I feel that they're not being accountable for their role. Worse still, if they say they're going to do something and then they don't do it, and there's no explanation or some form of apology or anything on those lines, then you start thinking, well, why? What is this? Like, you said that you were going to do it, and now everything is scuppered. But the ultimate backflip on that with accountability, and I'm stealing this from Gary Vaynerchuk, who's a CEO of VaynerMedia and things like that, is that everything is your fault, which sounds very, very harsh, but it does provide a little sentiment of, if you're unsure if something's going to happen, we have responsibility to follow something up, to put safeguards in place. Not too many, because then that becomes onerous on what we're trying to do. But did we provide enough information from the outset? Did we prep properly? Did we build a foundation that was so solid that the other person was okay? Could they do that? And that's very, very important in a work context. Whenever I provide my emails, people often reply back saying, thank you, you've answered everything, because I do think in a way of, right, well, if I say that, they're going to infer that. So let's just nip that in the bud now. Let's just mention it. So that's really important from my point of view, is that I like to provide as much as I can from the outset, which will hopefully reduce the number of meetings that need to happen. And then there's the flip side of that, where someone that you expect a high standard from drops that high standard, and then there's the thought of, why is that high standard dropped? Why has what has happened? And our default mechanism, because we live inside our own brains or inside our own thoughts, is that it's me, it's my fault. They did that because of me. And one thing which I've been saying for many, many years, particularly in the last 2 years since leading the mental health service for the cancer charity, is we are not in control of other people's actions. Say that again. We are not in control of other people's actions. We are only in control of our own and how we respond to what has happened to us. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not still going to have ill feeling and that we're not going to have emotion. We're going to have all of these things because, as I mentioned before, they are automatic. But if we hold on to the fact that something has happened that we're holding on to, that is out of our control, then it's a real difficult thing. And this might be other people going about and saying things behind your back, or just saying things and not going through with it, or just downright keeping things from you. And if you're stuck in that situation, there's nothing you can do about it. And it becomes for me, it's quite black and white, in the sense that I can only act on what's important to me, and I can only respond after the reaction. Oh, hello, we got a new waves in there. And we can only respond after initial reaction, because we need to react, because that's what the brain does. And then we respond, and then we take control of the next port of call. So where was I going with that? So with the response mechanism, it's so easy. And this happened to me 2.5 years ago now. So before I took on the role that I've got now, things weren't great for me. So my job was coming to an end. Relationship breakdown, had to move out of the house, and yeah, just kind of didn't really know what my next steps were going to be. And then there was actions of 2 people that I worked with, which made it really difficult for me to want to just focus on what I needed to do. And because work was winding down as well, I wasn't as busy as I would have been before. And I just could not help myself from wanting to know the ins and outs of absolutely everything of what was going on. And because you work with people, your lives are intertwined to a certain point anyway. And you start thinking, well, I did that. That was my fault. I led that path to happen through action or even inaction. And that's something I haven't mentioned yet, but inaction is just as powerful as actually doing something. If you don't do something, then, or if other people don't do something, then you're going to find that that you're going to be called into question, or you're going to start questioning other people. And it gnawed away at me, the fact that I was in this situation. And bearing in mind that my mantra is everything that happens to you is the best thing that could happen to you. At that time, I did not feel that whatsoever. I'm very proud with how I conducted myself. This is where I held my own accountability to high regard. And I remember being at my desk and still having jokes and laughs with the people I was working with, all the while having a hole in my belly and thinking, oh, what's happened? And it really, really frustrating me. And as time went on and things kind of ramped up, and so the job went down, emotions carried on going up, more things were falling up around me, and then my car got broken into, and I was like, I am done. And I rang my manager so I was playing drums for a band at the time, rang my manager, whatever time in the evening it was, and I was like, I'm completely going. And in that moment, all of my accountability to work and to my friends and to the band and everything else I was doing at the time, I just completely threw out the window. And I needed to completely start again. And I did. I drove home with a missing window, a missing laptop with over 2 years worth of video footage on there. And my accountability was gone. I was like, I am starting afresh. I don't care. It's too painful to carry on with what I'm doing at the moment. And I I needed that. And the breaking in of the car was probably the best thing that happened to me, even though I was gutted because I'd actually spent a few nights in that car as well. I'm sure that Luke would remember when we went to London, all of my belongings were in that car when we drove down to watch an NFL game. And I just remember looking around at the people around me and I was like, well, what did I do to deserve this? Like, why did this happen? And I was very quick not to stay on that because I hadn't really done anything. It's just things that happen. They are things that happen around you. And once you find a peace with that, it took me, so that was 3 months, and then I was off, and then I came back to work. So the thing which provided me something else was having a new purpose. So going back to work, but with a new role, the one which I'm currently in now, was the thing that lifted me up and gave me a sense of purpose. And once I had that sense of purpose, I could hold myself accountable again. And what I could do with that was I was able to block out what I didn't need. And it was from that point on that really solidified some of the principles that I then went on to teach actually as part of ACT, which was my accountability comes from me. Other people's actions are their actions. And whatever path that leads them down in life, I'm able to hold my head up high and say, I've done the best that I can do in every situation. And if I'm not trying my best, and if I'm not trying to be humble and empathetic with other people, then I'm not living my best version. And I'm not a fan of myself when I'm not living my best version of myself, when I know that I've underprepared for something, when I know that I've forgotten certain bits and pieces. From the last couple of months, I remember turning up to a rehearsal and I hadn't really done as much homework on the lines as I should have. I'm not holding myself accountable to my own high standards, but having a sense of purpose, having a sense of duty, being around people that you respect and who respect you back, they're going to hold you accountable and they're going to make you bigger and better people about it. And what that will hopefully allow you to do, and as I say, this covers all bases, is to let other people's actions drift off you. It takes time, it takes practice. It's not a perfect practice. It's just something which I've slowly mastered over the years, and something which I'm getting there with. And as I said at the beginning of this, I will hopefully be sharing some more information about an offer for some people that may be interested, to see whether or not they want to learn more in depth about ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, and also solution focused as well. So that's kind of putting the bigger picture. Solution focus is about, well, what are the steps that we need to get there? How will you be living it? And that's kind of all I'm going to say today. I don't know if anyone has any questions for me. Fire away in the questions. I was going to see whether or not I could get Abigail in here using a link, because on Thursday, I'm hopefully going to be having a guest join me live, which I'm really excited about. So on Thursday, a therapist friend of mine, Hannah, she is going to be joining me. And this is a request that I had ages ago, but it seemed a bit too premature at the time. But certainly having done the podcast on Friday and looking at the way that things are going now in relation to coronavirus, we're going to be revisiting the Kubler-Ross cycle of grief, and we're going to be looking at grief and bereavement, and certainly from my cancer background, what you can do to support yourself or support others that may be losing people through the coronavirus. Twitter, there are people who I know through plus ones on Twitter who have lost people to the coronavirus. So I think talking about grief, and certainly within a smaller circle, is going to be something that hopefully will provide some insight and help certain people out. So yeah, so that's the plan on Thursday. If there's anything you'd like me to talk about tomorrow, please let me know. But in the meantime, last orders at the bar for questions. Oh, just turning myself on. I just want to see the comments. No. If not, if there's no questions, or if it's just broken, are we just broken? I don't even know. No, well, in that case, I will go about my business. I will leave you to yours as well. I'm just going to put this here as well. All right, can we do this? Show that. There you go. This is my sign off for you. You are extraordinary. I genuinely believe that all of our lives, they're so intricate, they're so detailed. They are ours, and that makes you amazing. Even if you are unsure about that, just take it as read from me that you are. Thank you very much. I will see you again. Please do ask questions. Please do drop me a message in the messenger. If you haven't already, I do have a podcast, so you can subscribe to that and get. I'm hoping to whittle these lives down into something more condensed, a bit more succinct, as to the themes that we're talking about, and start rolling them off so you can listen to them when we start commuting again, which would be a very novel experience, don't you think? But yeah, I'll leave it there. Thank you so much. Mwah. Take care. You are extraordinary, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.